Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa Gonzalez, and today I'll be presenting about the women who spoke up about Harvey Weinstein. In terms of Harvey Weinstein's professional background, he was the co-founder and chairman of Miramax Films from 1979 to 2005, and he was later the co-founder and chairman of the Weinstein Company from 2005 to 2017. These two positions that he held are very important in showing the great disbalance of power between him and any of his subordinates. He was later fired from the Weinstein Company in October of 2017 after sexual allegations against him came forward to light. And through this presentation, we will be exploring some of those sexual allegations towards Harvey Weinstein. The Me Too movement was a pivotal movement that propelled many women to come forward with their stories. They used the hashtag on social media in order to tell their stories about sexual harassment or assault with high profile men, mainly in the media and in other industries as well. Some of these were Bill Cosby in October 2014, Roger Ailes in July of 2016, Donald Trump in October of 2016, Bill O'Reilly in March of 2017, and Harvey Weinstein in October of 2017. I believe that because women came forward about these other prominent men, um, the women who came forward about Harvey Weinstein were more empowered to tell their stories about similar experiences. The Me Too movement in regards to Harvey Weinstein, two very important articles in this story, in this case, were the New York Times article by Jodi Cantor and Megan Towie, who highlighted the stories of Rose McGowan and Ashley Judd, and the New Yorker article by Ronan Farrow, who highlighted the stories of actresses, aspiring actresses, models, um, in front desk assistant, and many other anonymous victims or witnesses to Weinstein's sexual misconduct. In the New Yorker, Lucia Evans, she recounts her story about how she had this meeting with Harvey Weinstein in which he sort of made her have these sexual acts with him, and her retelling her story about how she just kind of gave up in that moment because he was a bigger man than her and she was scared. Not only does this show the disbalance of power because he could be he was a person of power, but also because he was a stronger person physically than her. Also in the New Yorker, Emily Nestor, who was a temporary assistant, also tells her story about how she had a similar experience of sexual harassment with Harvey Weinstein. And she remembered telling one of her colleagues at the time, but then being told, um, in quotes, a HR is a place where you went to when you didn't want anything to get done. Um, and because everything usually would go back to Harvey Weinstein, and he would eventually know who was the person who had accused him. In this specific scenario, it shows a flaw in the company human resources because it is not really vouching for the employees, but rather it is hiding these sexual misconducts by a person in power and not really protecting the employee who holds very little power. In terms of the incidents or dilemmas, there are two groups of people who would have faced different kinds of dilemmas. In one group would be like the executives and the assistants who were pressured or forced into being a part of what they would call the honeypot, which was basically luring in newcomers by having a woman present so that they would feel more comfortable and Weinstein would be able to conduct his uh, sexual acts on them or his sexual harassment. Also, even if they had any information that they were aware of, keeping quiet about what they knew. So they could either be a part of Weinstein's misconduct or be aware of it and be quiet about it or face retaliation from him. In another group, we have the actresses, the employees, and other victims of Harvey Weinstein who were pressured to engage in sexual advancements by him. Um, and also the pressure to remain silent, even though this kept happening to other women. So he had the power to ruin their careers if they didn't accept his advances towards them. So they had to choose between being harassed or assaulted, or having their reputation ruined or their career ruined, by not giving in to Harvey Weinstein's harassment towards them. The consequences that they would face would either be retaliation, creating fake stories against them, or having them removed from projects. He also had a lot more power and a lot more resources. So he would be able to destroy somebody's reputation or career, um, because he had the means to do so. These women, most of them kept quiet during the time that this harassment took place because they felt nobody would listen to them. Um, in the situations that they faced, I feel like there might have been a fight, freeze, or flight. Um, those would have been those kind of situations. And if I were in their shoes, I don't know what I would have done. But as a bystander, I know that I would not be complicit to any act that would harm another person. But if it were just directly towards me, I'm not sure how I would react, but I do acknowledge and appreciate the fact that these women were courageous enough to finally be able to speak their own truth. Um, After researching about this topic, I learned a lot about how these women, most of them were on in their careers, and they were less confident in maybe their work or who they were as people, which I can relate to. Um, and because many women have stepped forward in this movement, the Me Too movement, it has really given a voice to women in the workplace. And it sets an example that if there is any sort of misconduct, especially sexual misconduct in the workplace, that it will be brought to light and that there will be consequences. In conclusion, Harvey Weinstein was eventually sentenced to 23 years in prison. And there was justice served because all of these women came forward. I definitely learned about how different women took these dilemmas in different ways. Some did try to speak out at the time, and some didn't because of fear of repercussion. But in the end, because many chose to do the right thing, um, that is why we are now able to move forward and um, create safer workplaces for everyone involved. And these last two slides show the sources that I used for my presentation. That concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.